Let's get it. PI Podcast Live.
Welcome to the PI Podcast, your destination for everything NFL, discussing the latest news and providing in-depth analysis of every NFL game. And now, here are your hosts, Ian and Tesh.
Hey guys, what is up? PI Podcast here, and today, we got some pretty heartbreaking, tragic news. Unfortunately, not a good way to start the podcast today, but um, unfortunately, NFL Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Dwayne Haskins. He was training in South Florida with other Steelers QBs, running backs, and wide receivers, and he was apparently on the interstate and he was walking across the interstate when he got hit by a truck and was killed this morning in South Florida. So we just wanted to say that our thoughts and prayers are with his family and everyone that knew him. I even saw Chase Claypool. He had a video. He was in tears. Um, just really sad to hear. I mean, because he's only 24 and I'm 23, so like that's just his life was cut short, and he was even in position to even to like just live out his whole life, and I think he had a son as well. So it's just very sad to hear.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers definitely to the Haskins family. Um, it was sad to wake up to. I know a lot of people remember, just his football life, but I think people forget sometimes that they had families, and um, so it's tragic for everybody involved. Um, yeah,
Yeah. So our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in the Haskins family and everyone that knew him well. Definitely don't want to see this in the NFL. And going a little bit into that, Adam Schefter, he his first tweet he tweeted that Dwayne Haskins was struggling to get in to be in the NFL with his stints in Washington and Pittsburgh Steelers, and that was just uncalled for. I mean, he literally died, and he's pointing out how he was struggling in the NFL, and that's not
yeah,
something that we want to do or any reporter should do. And definitely, that's I don't know how Adam Schefter isn't getting fired for this. I don't know how because he's had very questionable tweets in the past as well. So I don't know what's going on there. So definitely something needs to change.
yeah. I hope he faces some sort of disciplinary action. Because like you said, it was uncalled for. You know, Granted, we all know him as a football player, but like you said, like we talked about earlier, he's got a family. Um, whether Dwayne Haskins is here to hear that said about him or not, like his family, that's all they see over the media is people talking about his career in football, and it's a lot bigger than football. Also, Gil Brandt went on a radio show and did the exact same thing. He made comments that were just uncalled for. I would repeat them, but there's no point in doing it. Just, um,
Yeah.
you know, he doesn't deserve that. Dwayne Haskins doesn't deserve that. So, um, but like we said, our thoughts and prayers are with the Haskins family. He did leave a wife and a son behind. So, yeah.
Yeah, and this goes into like a bigger kind of topic of treating NFL players as objects instead of people. Definitely, NFL players are human beings. They're not here to, and they're here to play football, yeah, but they're not here to like entertain you and just be treated like something that's there for your entertainment and you don't have to care about it. I mean, no, they're just human beings like us, so definitely no one in any way, even with someone that has so many people watching, shouldn't be able to go out and tweet something like that. Um, yeah, so definitely our thoughts and prayers are with his family. Definitely very sad news, and it would have been cool to see him play this year, and also just to see him live out his life. But yeah. So we're gonna be getting into our regular topics today. Um, so first we have Ravens are signing back defensive end Calais Campbell on a 2-year deal for $12.5 million that can get him to $16.5 million.
Yeah, I love the move for the Ravens. Calais Campbell, he is an older defensive lineman in the league, but he hasn't really lost a step at all. I was actually really hoping my Jaguars would pick him up. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but I'm happy that Calais Campbell gets to play for somewhat of a contender. I still consider the Ravens a contender. They still have Harbaugh at coach. They still have Lamar Jackson. They still have a young receiver core. They get J.K. Dobbins back this year. So I definitely think they're a contender this year. Happy for him. You're good. And like I said, he was a really big piece on the Jaguars 2017 defense. I For our defensive sake, I wish we could have got him. I'm still happy with the signings we did. Um, However, it didn't work out. It is what it is. Calais Campbell's going to get a chance to get a ring now, so I'm super excited for that. He, like I said, he deserves a shot to try to get a ring.
Yeah, Calais Campbell is a really good interior lineman, and he's been a beast his whole career. And becoming a free agent, we weren't sure whether or not he'd be going out somewhere to another team. One of those teams LinkedIn said is Jaguars. So there was a very good chance that Jaguars picked him back up. But he decided to sign back with the Ravens on a deal that'll probably finish out his career with the Ravens, possibly. So we'll see what happens with that. But Ravens got back one of their key defensive players. So that's going to be really big on their roll to playoffs and Super Bowl even. And I was looking at that Ravens defense, and they still have almost all of their players from
Yeah.
previous season, and like that defense probably could still play well. I don't think they're the best, but they could probably still play well.
This is a good chance for them this year too, because I know like the Browns had a really big focus this off season, obviously with the Deshaun Watson, the Amari Cooper pickup. Um, but if you think about it, there's a chance that Watson doesn't start. We're still up in the air about that. He might not be able to play this year, get suspended. Um, so the Ravens are actually in really good chances to make second place or even first place in that division. Because really, the Steelers, I mean, I think Trubisky's going to have a decent year. Excuse me. But the fact of the matter is, Trubisky has been a backup the past few years. So they have a really good shot of beating the Steelers out for number 2 in the division with the pieces they have. And I think it's going to be between the Bengals and the Ravens in that division.
Yeah, no, Ian is still picking it up heavily. I don't know how. I put it all in the back of the room. It's still picking up very heavily. Um,
Is it that loud?
yeah, I don't know how. I turned my volume down all the way and it's still picking up that loud all the way over here. I can even hear it with my headset on. It's weird. I I just don't know. Um, definitely. Maybe we can try Twitter Space another time. Maybe I don't know. Um, whatever you need to do. All right. Let me know if you hear anything off that too.
Yeah. Something for that about him or not, like his family. That's all they see over the media. I just watched it on YouTube. It's not picking it up. I'd have my
Okay.
volume all the way up. It's not picking it up on YouTube.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Cool.
Um, so sorry about that. So those of you that are watching on YouTube, we are trying Twitter Spaces out for the first time. So this is a new experience for us trying Twitter Spaces and also the podcast live on YouTube. So yeah, we're just gonna keep going with it. So if there's any reverb or anything, that's kind of what's going on. But the former Steelers quarterback Josh Dobbs has agreed to a 1-year deal with the Cleveland Browns. I don't think he's really starter material, in my opinion, at the moment. He hasn't really got a chance to prove it. But I think this shows that they are kind of afraid that Deshaun Watson will not be able to start at least a few games next year.
Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting thing because they own not only have Josh Dobbs on the Browns, they also have another backup quarterback too that they signed. So it's kind of they're preparing for the worst, and if Deshaun Watson does get suspended, they do have options. Not guaranteed options to make them win, but options so that they're not in a deeper hole than they already
Right.
would be in. And I really think that division is going to be interesting, especially if Deshaun Watson is in that division,
Yeah.
because it's not going to be easy because the Browns defense is decent. I mean, it's pretty good. And
Uh, the fact of the matter is the Browns. Granted, we don't know what's happening with Baker Mayfield yet, but they still have Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett, Josh Dobbs, and Baker Mayfield at the moment. That's 4 quarterbacks, and 3 of them have starting experience.
yeah, and so that's gonna be huge if Deshaun Watson gets suspended. They have whatever they need there. And Geo, the Bills, I think they're in a really good situation now. They just signed Von Miller. They got Josh Allen. Everyone's still there. They just signed Stephon
Yeah,
Diggs a huge contract. They lost. I don't know. Yeah, they lost Cole Beasley, but I mean, they still have Gabriel Davis and some other receivers, so they'll be fine in that sense. On offense, and I still think they're gonna have one of the best defenses in the league next year. They didn't really lose
yeah.
anybody on defense, so I
They
really
yeah they
think
only got better.
yeah, and I think they're gonna be contenders right away. If we have a NFL tier list coming out tomorrow, so you guys will see our tier list, and you can see where we rank the Bills and every team like that tomorrow. But yeah, no, the Bills are one team we are very high on and are excited to see, and I think they're a Super Bowl contender for sure.
100%. 100%. Speaking of another contender, the Denver Broncos signed safety Kareem Jackson to a 1-year deal. I like the move, honestly. He'll be solid this year, and I honestly think they're in a really unique situation because they have a lot of good offensive pieces where the offense can carry if they need to, but the defense is also really good to where the defense can carry if they have to.
Yeah, it's one of those very good situations. Like, I mean, it's awesome to have a really good offense. You just got a star quarterback in Russell Wilson, and now your defense, you're signing back one of your good safeties and Kareem Jackson, back to a 1-year deal to prove a deal. And I think that team's going to be very heavily competitive, and they're in the AFC West, the best division in football. I mean, it's
Right.
still going to be very tough to make the playoffs, but with that team having all the pieces they do, they have obviously have a chance like any other team in that division.
OMG, it's Geo on YouTube asks, what do we think about the Bills? I don't know if you got in here after we just talked about them, but they're 100% Super Bowl contenders. I've got them I've got them the best in the AFC, especially since the Chiefs just lost Tyreek Hill and Tyrann Mathieu. I do like their Justin Reed pickup, but I don't think he's going to be as good as Tyrann Mathieu was in that defense. And I mean, the AFC stacked though, so like I do have Bills as my favorite as of right now to make the Super Bowl. But it's one of those things like anybody in the AFC West could easily make the Super Bowl. And I mean, because the Chiefs still have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. The Raiders just got Devontae Adams. And I'm not even going to talk about all the defensive side of the ball that the Chargers just did, but they were on the cusp of making the playoffs. And they just added some of the top free agents in football. The Dolphins, I don't even want to sleep on the Dolphins, even though Tua, I don't think is the answer there. They still, I mean, they just picked up some of the biggest free agents as well. They got Teron Armstead. They got a really good running back room now. They have Tyreek Hill. So that the AFC is really hard to judge, but I still have the Bills being number one in that division or the conference.
The Bills are gonna are my Super Bowl contender, like I said. And that AFC, oh man, this is gonna be so fun to watch
It's going to
this
be really
year.
fun to watch. Yeah. I mean, I think if you think about last year, so last year's football season was probably the best football season I've ever watched. And I mean, I've been watching football pretty religiously for at least since 2012. And I mean, I've been a fan of football since a lot, like since I've been a baby, basically. And when you look at the playoffs this past year, the divisional round, the conference championship, it was the best playoffs we've ever seen, like I've ever seen, because I don't want to say ever, because I obviously wasn't around before the 90s. But the Chiefs and Bills game, that's going to be all season long now. All these teams are going to be really good games, I think. I think they're going to be super high scoring. I think there's going to be some good defensive matchups. Like when you see the Raiders and the Chargers play twice a year, that's going to be awesome. When you see the Broncos and Chiefs play twice a year, that's going to be awesome. So yeah, I'm super excited for this upcoming football season, especially in the AFC.
Yeah, no, this football season is gonna be crazy, and I'm super excited for it. Gio, a lot of moves are being made by every team. They're making themselves better, especially in the AFC West and especially in the AFC side of things. They're making their teams better, making sure they're set for a playoff run, and also we weren't lucky enough to know '90s football that much. We're glad you love '90s football a lot, so we weren't exposed to it as we are in these 2010s era. So unfortunately, we didn't get to see the '90s side, but we know a lot of players from the '90s side too, and there's a lot of players from that era that are amazing, and I bet it was a really fun time to watch because the rules were less restrictive and things like that. So it sucked that we missed out on that era of football, but we got a really good one in the 2010s era.
Yeah, I like we talk about all the time like some of the matchups. We talk about the generational quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and that was like what we grew up watching. And now like people are trying to compare this generation when you got Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, and like it's just two completely different games now. You would have 1,500-yard rushers all the time back then, and like quarterbacks didn't throw for 5,000 yards a year last or in those days. So it's just kind of, and it was a tougher game back then as well. So yeah, it's interesting just how rules change and the games change. Now you've got a lot of, like the RPO, like that wasn't like big back in the day. Like that's kind of crept its way into football, from the college level up. So it's gonna be. I don't know. I'm super excited for this upcoming season, and I'm more excited for this upcoming season than I have been in like a long time, just because of how crazy the off season was.
And the thing about the '90s too, like it was such a different game because you nowadays you got these quarterbacks that are more mobile. There were some mobile quarterbacks back in the day, but the mobility of quarterbacks have changed a lot over the years, and also just things quarterbacks can do. It's kind of weird how it's evolved to a more pass happy league now than grinding your running back. Make sure you pound the running game and making
Right.
sure that your quarterback plays good and everything. Again, so many good legends from the '90s and everything. It's just so awesome to see the transition of an old style of football. If you go back and watch '90 old football, their highlights, you can see the difference. But it's every fan loved no matter what side of the era you were from. So that's gonna be really fun to watch this year, and it's gonna completely change the game.
Yeah, speaking of, we were talking about the Browns earlier. The Browns just re-signed safety Ronnie Harrison on a 1-year deal. This is a good piece for them. I mean, it's the Browns. We just got done talking about it. It's so hard to judge the Browns because you don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to play. I think he plays at least half the season. I don't think the NFL is going to. The NFL has never done anything about sexual harassment stuff in the NFL. Like, it's always been 5-game suspensions, 4-game suspensions, maybe 8-game suspensions. It's not like gambling, like Calvin Ridley gets a 1-year suspension for gambling on games he wasn't even a part of, and you've got 22 or 23 allegations. Granted, they are allegations, but I mean, there's got to be like, if you're a football player, in my opinion, you should be professional and not get yourself in some of those situations.
I definitely agree. That's a lot though. 20 over 20. Like
Yeah,
it's I mean at the same time, if I'm being like completely unbiased, it's like for Deshaun Watson's side, it's like there are some people who do go out and fake these things just to get money from people like NFL players, and it very well could be probably a very low chance, and probably I don't know the situation, but a lot of other people have leached on to what one person was saying and was like, oh yeah, that happened to me too
oh
because I
yeah,
had him
yeah,
in
yeah.
my store. So it's very real that that side of it is true. Deshaun Watson didn't do anything, but the same side, to have 20 plus allegations, it's kind of weird to have your image destroyed, and I don't know how you get into that situation unless you did something for them to say something.
Right. Um, yeah, so regardless, the Browns are going to be a tough team because they've got talent all over the ball. Even if they don't have a quarterback, they still have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So they have arguably the best 1-2 punch in the game. I mean, it's so fun to watch.
and the whoever's a quarterback is going to be throwing the ball to Amari Cooper and David Njoku. So, um, they're going to be pretty set. Whoever's throwing the ball.
And I've seen Ronnie Harrison play in some of those Brown games last year, and I saw him get some really good hits, play decent in coverage. So this is a big signing for the Browns. I'm not sure who would they would have gotten if they didn't have Ronnie Harrison back. It probably would have been a backup or a rookie even. So I think this is just to help them a lot.
Yeah. We're gonna stay in the AFC. The Texans have agreed to terms with wide receiver Brandon Cooks on a 2-year deal, and should be able to earn just under $20 million a year. I've seen a lot of Brandon Cooks slander in the past couple days, saying this guy's overpaid. Brandon Cooks is an elite receiver. I'm not saying he's a top 5, top 10 receiver, but he is a true number one, and he is an elite receiver.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks is one of those special receivers. I mean, I have no idea where all the hate's coming from. It's not like he digressed at all. He's still the speedy receiver that Cooks is. And like to say Cooks is cooking. I mean, that still applies to him because he's still super fast. He still can play. He can still catch the deep ball. You've seen it. It's kind of like people are slandering him because he's still on the Texans. And if he was on a different team, I think the slander would have lessened a little bit, but it's there's no slander to be said because Brandon Cook is still an amazing receiver, and any team would like to have him on the team. I mean, and the
Yeah.
Texans just re-signed their best receiver.
Look at the numbers he's put up. He put up 1,000 yards with Davis Mills, Tyrod Taylor. I'm trying to think of some. I feel like they might have had someone else on the ball, but I don't think they did.
Even when
I
Deshaun
mean,
Watson was there too.
yeah, I mean he's been in the league since 2014. His rookie year 2014, 550 yards. 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, he had all over 1,000 yards receiving. He had a down year in 2019 where he only had 583 yards, but he was playing with the LA Rams, who has Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. He obviously got overshadowed a little bit there. And then he's been in the league 8 years and has 6 1,000 yard reception years or 1,000 yard receiving yard years. That's elite.
Yeah, no, that just proves everything that people are saying are wrong. Like Brandon Cooks is a number one receiver. Like he can be a true number one, and Davis Mills is gonna have a field day with Brandon Cooks by keeping him there, and it's just gonna help
Yeah,
him so much as a young quarterback. Just having a speedy receiver, just be able to go deep, and if you control the ball deep as a young quarterback, I mean, anything's
it opens
possible. You've
up
seen
so
Justin
much. Yeah.
Herbert and everybody that they're still young and they're throwing these deep balls just to have that deep
Also,
receiver.
also, Brandon Cooks did that without having a running game. There was no running game on the Texans last year. When Rex Burkhead is your leading running back, that just goes to show one, your rookie quarterback is not in a very good situation like to start off. Your head coach got fired. That's you know
That
what I'm saying?
yeah,
That shows how good he is.
and even Philip Lindsay last year, he didn't even do much for Texans either. I mean, he got some good runs here and there, but that running game never really stuck at all, never really got going. And just it's weird because Philip Lindsay is kind of like that back that was in Denver for a while, and Philip Lindsay can be a good running back. It's just that he didn't perform in Houston either, so it's kind of weird because their running game they added these running backs to help the running game, but it got nowhere for them. So look for the draft to have them get a running back.
Yeah, the Texans have needs everywhere. I mean, you can even go on a mock draft site and it literally says Texans needs everything. I mean, they need a. I don't think they need a kicker. I think Fairbairn is a decent kicker, but they literally need a punter, long snapper, center, left guard, right tackle, left tackle.
They need everything. They like defensively as well, corner, linebacker, DN,
That's coming
tackle.
from a Jaguars fan who just we have needs everywhere as well, but we did a very good job in free agency. I know we can keep talking about how everybody thinks the Jaguars overpaid. I don't care. It's not my checkbook. You know, I want to see a winning product on the field, and that starts with getting people like Brandon Scherf, uh, Christian Kirk. Granted, I would have liked to see like Allen Robinson as well. I would have. I don't not like the Christian Kirk signing. I like the Christian Kirk signing. I would have liked one more big guy though.
I also see that a lot of people dismissing the Falcons a lot, even fans. I mean, I know the situation isn't perfect, but we picked up Casey Hayward. We got a linebacker that had 4 sacks in his last 5 games in Lorenzo Carter, and we added so many late free agent pieces, tackle, wide receiver. We completely changed our wide receiver room. Before the free agency, our wide receiver room was Frank Darby, Olamide Zaccheaus, and another. But now our receiver room is Auden Tate, Olamide Zaccheaus, and then a few Caldera Hodge as well. And so we completely redesigned that wide receiver room. And if Marcus Mariota, he's a veteran quarterback. I mean, he's not the worst of the worst. So it's going to be interesting to see because a lot of people are dismissing the Falcons, saying they're the worst team. I've seen a power ranking where Falcons are the worst team on that list. And I'm like, have you not seen the Texans? Have you not seen some other teams? I mean, we just boosted that cornerback room a lot with Casey Hayward. And we have a veteran quarterback in Marcus Mariota, so anything can
Yeah,
happen.
I
I don't
like what the
think.
Falcons
Yeah,
have done. I think they're doing a rebuild without like making it a complete shit show.
exactly. It's not like we're getting rid of everybody. I mean, we're just
Yeah, it's
adding
not like
to.
the it's not like so I watched it happen with the Jaguars 2017 defense, and in 2019 the only remaining player was Miles Jack. In 2 years the entire team was gone. We had a new quarterback, new running back, we had new everything except there's a couple pieces on offensive line. But so that's what one thing I like that look at the Seahawks right now. They literally had to scrap their roster to do a rebuild. And I think you could say the Falcons kind of did that, but they kept Cordell Patterson. And really, they got rid of a linebacker that was going to get a really big payday, and a Luakon. So, really, they made all the right moves, in my opinion. I know you would have liked to see the Matt Ryan stay for the rest of his career, and that part I understand. But now they don't have to pay a quarterback $30 million a year, $40 million a year. Our cap hit of $48 million a year. They have a cheaper guy at quarterback while they can build some pieces around the next guy that's coming in.
Yeah, and when the Foya Luakon lost, it's kind of hurts, but at the same time, it's not too big of a loss because we drafted really good at the linebacker position because we still have
Yeah.
McCall Walker and another linebacker that's young, and McCall Walker showed he can play good, so we're decent at linebacker as well.
Yeah, and you got Kyle Pitts last year. In my opinion, the best player in the draft last year.
I definitely 100% agree
He
with you.
has the
I mean,
potential to be the best player of that draft class as long as the quarterbacks don't, have elite careers. But Kyle Pitts has the potential to be the best receiver out of that. Well, I don't know. I forgot about Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase is
Um,
really good, but
so I'll give
he
Kyle
still
Pitts is
has
definitely
that
going to be a top
potential.
five.
He still has that
Yeah,
potential to be the best.
exactly. And the Falcons had a down year last year. I mean, they didn't. What did they win? 7 games last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, can you think of if they can get to a point where they're back to winning 10 games, 11 games? Kyle Pitts is going to have 1,000-yard reception years, just like Travis Kelce did.
Yeah, and we won 7 games with probably the worst defense in the NFL. Like, and that goes to show how we're winning even with how bad the defense was. Yeah, and we're gonna go back to the AFC. We're gonna talk about the teams a little bit. The really big news. The Bills reached an agreement with wide receiver Stephon Diggs on a 4-year, $104 million extension that includes $70 million guaranteed, and this ties Diggs to Buffalo for 6 years at $124.1 million, and probably keeps Stephon Diggs probably for most of his career, or if
Yeah, I
the end
think
of his career.
yeah, I think Stephon Diggs will most likely retire a Buffalo Bill. I like the move for both sides. A lot of these receivers this offseason got paid like big. Stephon Diggs is definitely one of those wide receivers that is in that conversation to deserves a big payday. Um, I think this was the absolute smartest thing the Bills could have done for long term because the wide receiver market right now looks expensive. It's going to be super expensive next year when you have DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel all going up for new contracts because they're going to want closer to 30 million whether they're the best in the league or not. That's what the market's going to be. It's going to be close to $30 million a year for a wide receiver. So the Buffalo Bills were able to lock Stephon Diggs for $25 million a year, and I think that was super smart by the Buffalo Bills. And not only that, it's really good for Josh Allen to have his number one target stay in Buffalo.
Yeah, a lot of people are thinking that Stephon Diggs might not be in Buffalo anymore because what he was doing with tweets and stuff like that, it's kind of what he did before he left the Vikings. And a lot of fans, I think, were panicking a little bit that Stephon Diggs wasn't going to be on team. But Bills are like, no, we want our main receiver. We want him on our team for the rest of his career. And they did that. And Josh Allen has his receiver. And the receiver market is higher now. Um, Christian Kirk kind of helped out a little bit, but these receivers are getting paid more when they should be as well because they're receivers. I mean, they're not running backs or fullbacks. I mean, but that the market for wide receivers is high. But if you have a star receiver like Stephon Diggs, it's worth it.
Yeah, I agree. And another good point to that is I see a lot of people saying like these guys gotta um, be more team friendly and like get less money so that way they can win championships. But I have a completely different opinion on that. I think some of these wide receivers are the best on their team. I don't think Stephon Diggs is best on his team. I think Josh Allen is the best player on the Buffalo Bills right now. However, with the Deebo Samuel, why should Deebo Samuel not make $30 million a year when his quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo is making $30 million a year, and Deebo Samuel is miles better than Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, and exactly what you're saying, Joe. You're right. They previous years they lost a lot of great players for holding back on payday, and that's just what's gonna happen if you don't pay these receivers and these defensive players something reasonable, then they're just gonna leave, and that left the Bills in a spot where they had to kind of rebuild that defense and get their quarterback, and luckily they did find their quarterback. They found a defense, and they
Yeah.
kept everyone back now. So they're really trying to win that Super Bowl, and I think that I think I honestly think the Bills are just one of those teams that are really set for this year, and they're gonna surprise a lot of people if they haven't surprised them already.
Yeah. And I like Sean McDermott as a coach as well. I think he's still got a little bit more to prove since he, not very playoff, his playoff record's not like there. But I give him credit because we just got done talking about, the AFC is stacked. I mean, you got to think the Bills have to play Bill Belichick twice a year. I mean, that's it's already hard to win a division when you have to play the best coach in football twice a year.
Yeah, and like you're exactly right, Gio. The management honestly wasn't the best. I mean, you can honestly say that Nathan Peterman situation didn't help them out at
Yeah,
all.
the Nathan
Um,
Peterman.
so they kind of fumbled a little bit. Um, so definitely, I think Ian's exactly right. I think that AFC is stacked, and this you have to pay these people. You have to pay these players if you want to compete. Because
Yeah,
if you don't, they're gonna be going to maybe the NFC side if we're thinking about it from the AFC
yeah,
side, or they're going to another AFC team that you don't want them to have to stack their defense or
yeah.
offense.
I think it's going to be. I think eventually the players will flip back to the NFC because they're going to kind of like a LeBron situation where you see that the East is easier to win in the NBA. Well, at least it used to be. I haven't watched the NBA in a while. So I think eventually players are going to realize, hey, the NFC don't have talent over there other than the Rams and the 49ers, but the 49ers don't have a quarterback. So, like, hey, I'll go to the NFC because I can go join the Green Bay Packers, and, that division's easy. Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears, owns the Lions. Like, we'll easily make the playoffs over there. And that's kind of like the LeBron situation going back to Cleveland. It was just the easiest division or conference to win because you had Golden State all over in the West, and you were going to get knocked out in the first or second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what these players do if they flip flop like that, which some of them might, because the NFC is kind of really open. It's really random. You don't know who's gonna win that for sure, and the AFC is kind of has the powerhouse teams. And Gio, yeah, the Bills split games this year with the Patriots, and they haven't have really had a good record against the Patriots either. So it was kind. I honestly thought they would have swept them this year, but they just got destroyed with the run game that first game, and then they tightened things up and just took over the game in the second one, and in the playoffs they blew them out. So definitely. Things are looking to change for the Bills. I think they should be able to sweep the Patriots again this year. But Belichick being there on the Patriots, you never really know because he's such a good coach. He knows how to play these teams in his division. And that's why Bill Belichick has such good records against the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins. A little less on the Dolphins side because the Dolphins kind of had Patriots number for a little bit in recent years. But
Yeah, kind of. If you want to pull up the statement, I'll go ahead and go to the next topic,
okay.
and then we'll go back to that one. So the Buccaneers are adding former Cowboys safety Keanu Neal. If you guys are unfamiliar with him, he was moved to linebacker in the Cowboys defense under Dan Quinn. He had a really good year, but he's moving back to safety for Tampa Bay. In recent reports, Keanu Neal really wanted to be a safety. He didn't want to be a linebacker anymore. So I think that's part of the reason for the move. Plus, he's going to probably. I still think the Rams are my favorite in the NFC, but obviously Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, there's no telling. You never count Tom Brady out. So he's getting a chance to go win a ring now. By moving to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Keanu Neal, in my opinion, is a really good safety. I don't think he's top 5. I don't think he's top 10, but he's definitely in the top 15 conversation for me. So, yeah, and he's going to be with a defensive-minded head coach in Todd Bowles. So I think he'll be a good fit in that Tampa Bay defense.
Yeah, Keanu Neal. I love the draft pick. Honestly, when we signed him to the drafted him on the Falcons, I mean, Keanu Neal was that hard hitting safety that we've needed since William Moore, and I haven't seen it. Unfortunately, after a couple years, we let him go because we're changing coaching staff and head GM and everything like that. So unfortunately, we had to see him go. But he did change the linebacker in the Cowboys back with Dan Quinn, and that kind of didn't work out for him. And now I'm just glad he's getting a safety position again because he's a really hard hitting safety and he can play
Yeah.
coverage too. So he's someone to look out for. And it just sucks that he's on the Buccaneers now because now we play him twice a year. But yeah, he's a really good player, so I'm really happy for Keanu Neal. I just wish he was on Falcons still. And I'm pulling up the Brian Flores statement now. Give me a second. There we go.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah. Two more coaches, Steve Wilkes, Ray Horn, they joined Brian Flores' lawsuit against the NFL teams and alleging racism in hiring practices. So they all kind of made their own statements. I'm not really gonna go into it completely.
Yeah, they're really long.
They're really long, so I'm not gonna go into it like that. But just know that we're getting a little more onto Brian Flores' situation, and that some coaches are with Brian Flores. So this could turn into a bigger thing, even when it comes to the regular season as well, and rightfully so, because Brian Flores, where did he go to? He went to the Steelers, and they already have a black head coach. And it's weird that he didn't even get an offer from anybody else in the NFL that needed a coach, and they all already filled their spots very quickly. And it's just a really really kind of messed up situation, and more people are supporting him, and more people need to speak out.
That's really we talk about Brian Flores a couple podcasts ago. He joined the Dolphins, had a rookie year head coach like any other rookie head coach. Second year, winning season, missed the playoff by one game. Third year, winning season, missed the playoff by one game, and then he's fired. So that's like really interesting that the Dolphins didn't stick with him. I do know the Dolphins owner and head coach Brian Flores, maybe it was a GM involved with this too. They all had very different opinions on who should be the quarterback of the Dolphins. You remember last year there was a ton of rumors about Deshaun Watson going to the Dolphins. There was a ton of rumors that Tua was going to get shipped out of there. And I can't remember. I'm assuming it was the owner that wanted Tua, and it was Brian Flores that wanted Deshaun Watson. I can't exactly remember how that situation went. So that could have something to do with them getting rid of Brian Flores. But the interesting reports were the owner was offering bonuses to Brian Flores to lose games.
Allegedly, but yeah, no,
Allegedly, yeah.
but yeah, that's crazy. I mean, we talked about it in one of our first podcasts. I mean, and it's interesting to see how this situation is developing as well. Um, it's just an ongoing thing that's going to be talked about more often, I think, now. And I think hopefully it doesn't get shoved under the rug like a lot of things that happened. And especially with what happened with Brian Flores, it definitely doesn't deserve to get shoved under a rug and not talked about for a while. And it's kind of looking that way because no one's really talking about it except since that statement, really. So it's kind of something to look out for. And I really think that's just a messed up thing to do by an owner, and like the owner should be fired, honestly, of the
Forced
Dolphins.
to sell the team. Yeah.
Yeah, forced to sell the team. I mean, if those allegations are true, just you you're paying the coach to lose games.
That's worse than gambling.
That's way worse. That's 100% worse than gambling. That's like on another level because you're basically
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, we're gonna pay these people to lose,"
And
and
you
that's
know, as a
just wrong.
Jaguars fan, the 2019 season, I was all for tank for Trevor. 100% I was for tank for Trevor. I did like Gardner Minshew. I mean, I'm wearing his jersey right now, but Trevor Lawrence, like I wanted Trevor Lawrence to be on this football team. So that's the thing that's about the draft situation. I do think that the worst team in the NFL should get the best player available in the college NFL draft. However, that goes to say that this is the first time it's been shed to light, like an owner or a GM or a coach intentionally trying to tank, allegedly. But it's gotta have happened more often.
Honestly,
You're
yeah,
like,
you're exactly
let's
right.
just say you're 2-10, right? You're eliminated from playoffs. If I'm a head coach and I'm like, you got someone like Aaron Donald in the draft, or you got someone like, granted, hindsight's 2020, but a Tom Brady in the draft. Why would you not just tank just to get your guy?
Yeah, and it goes like there's probably a lot of teams that have done that. They just haven't been caught doing it. But at the same time, in recent years, I think a lot of teams that people wanted to tank, like the fans wanted them to tank. I mean, a lot of the horrible teams, they actually kind of win some games late in the season and kind of move their draft a little bit. So it's kind of weird. I don't know if that's a league-wide issue where they're paying coaches to tank. I don't think that's the case too much. I think it was that case in Miami because that
Yeah,
owner, I don't know what the owner was thinking. I guess he just thought it was the last season. Um, but it's gonna be interesting to see if any other things come to light because of this.
yeah. And I can tell you, there's 3 teams in the NFL right now that have never purposely tanked. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars because we beat the Colts in the last game of the season and risked losing the #1 overall pick by beating them. The only reason we still got it was because the Lions won their game too, which goes to show the Lions are also another team that has never intentionally tanked. They just sucked. Like the Lions and the Jaguars just sucked. So they've never intentionally tanked. And then the Jets, you remember 2019, they were also in the running for Trevor Lawrence. And they won a game or two, like however it happened. They won 2 games basically.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars only won the one at the beginning of the season. So those are 3 teams that I know have never tanked on purpose. They just all sucked.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny too. I mean, they both Jets and Jaguars got the benefit of that draft because they got Zach Wilson, and given
You're
he
right.
isn't he didn't play too well, it's his rookie season. I mean, I think he's
Yeah.
shown some things that
Trevor didn't
you
play
should be
well
happy
either.
about. Yeah,
Trevor had some good throws, but I mean, what was it? 11 or 12 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. That's not. Granted, the game plan wasn't. Like I said, I don't blame it all on Trevor, but there wasn't really a rookie quarterback that was like, "Oh wow, this guy's going to be great." Like everybody still has to prove themselves in year 2.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of these, some of these, hopefully all five of them show up and be like, "Hey, we're gonna be your franchise guys."
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing Justin Fields. I still think he's the best in that draft, quarterback wise, and I think just gonna prove it next year. Yeah. And
We can talk about your
on the
Falcons.
NFC side, yeah, going back to the Falcons, they just added guard slash tackle Jermaine Ifedi on a 1 year deal. And I think that's a good signing. He can play well. He just has some maybe has some problems. I mean, I've heard things, people saying that he has an anger problem or something like that, and that he doesn't like to be told or something. But it doesn't matter. He's an NFL player. He's gonna get over it. But I really think it's a good signing because it's gonna booster that O line a little bit. If let's say the left guard doesn't play well, or
Yeah,
Chris
they
or
have
Caleb McGarry doesn't play well again this year, then it's gonna be nice.
so in other news, me and Tesh are getting into trading cards a little bit. So we're gonna start opening packs and stuff like that as we find them. It's been like damn near impossible to find trading cards in the store unless you go to a memorabilia shop and then they charge more than what it's like the pack's worth. Like Walmart used to have the really good packs for like $20 and like they're sold out. And now you go on Amazon and they're $50, $60 a pack, at $20 at the store. So we're gonna try to do them as we find them. Interesting, a Josh Allen football card recently sold for $312,000 at an auction.
Wow, that's insane. I mean, look, that's a whole like, I mean, just a whole studio for us, literally,
Yeah,
or even a house for me, literally, a house and a studio all in one. I mean, but that's crazy. I mean, and that's why trading cards are kind of like a hobby for some. Sometimes the trading cards are a hobby for people, and I get the hobby of collecting because I collect Funko Pops, and I have over 400 of them. And the Funko Pops, they're just really fun to have. It basically because it's a reminder of all the shows I watch, and just like a celebration, I guess. Just reminds me of the good times I had watching those shows and watching those moments in the movies and those characters that I really love to watch.
you
And
know
it
what I
just
like collecting?
what
I gotta find it. Hang on, it's right behind my computer. I hope I don't shut my computer off on accident. That would suck.
that would suck. Well,
It's right here. Helmets.
helmets, yep, dude. It would be cool if we had all 32 NFL teams and had them on shelves. You know,
You
that'd
know
be
what would
really
also
really
be
cool.
cool?
What?
You know what? A Jimmy Smith helmet.
Yep. Jimmy Smith helmet would be nice. You may be getting it soon. Don't hear it from me.
Let's go ahead and announce. Well, not
What?
announce it, but like, let's give the viewers a
Yeah. So we kind of have a
what we're working on.
we're working on something big. We have kind of a big announcement. So definitely we're in talks with Jimmy Smith, the legendary Jaguar wide receiver, and potentially being on our podcast Wednesday at 9 p.m. So definitely we it's a really huge opportunity and really huge possibility that he's going to be on the podcast Wednesday at 9. We're still figuring out the times and dates and stuff like that he's available, and figure out video call and stuff like that. But definitely, it's looking possible he's going to be on a future podcast. So definitely, it would be a
Yeah,
huge opportunity for us.
yeah, I'm super excited. I really hope it works out the way it's supposed to. We know he's a busy guy, so we're trying to like work out all the details and stuff. He did say he was interested. We've been talking on Twitter, so we're gonna do our best to make it work. Yeah, so, like I said, I've been watching the Jaguars. My first Jaguar game was actually the year after he retired. Um, so I didn't get to watch him in person play, but I mean, still, like I got to watch him play on TV. Like I used to watch him, Ernest Wilford, Rashean Mathis, Byron Leftwich, David Garrard, Fred Taylor, Maurice Jones-Drew. Mercedes Lewis. Like I used to watch all those guys. Like Paul Posluszny. Like just growing up a Jaguar fan. Like these names are like really iconic. So getting to meet one of them is gonna be like really sick.
Dude, it's gonna be so awesome if it's possible. Gio, yeah, no, yeah, a box of 80s and 90s cards, like a big box. He has a big box of trading cards.
I
Um,
had a bunch. I don't know what I did with them. They're either
yeah,
at my mom's or they're storage. I hope they're not in storage though.
yeah. Do you know like if they're I don't know if they might be worth something. I don't know. But like that's really cool. Like, yeah, that what is it? NFL, baseball, or just NFL related trading cards?
See, my problem with cards right now is I don't know. Like, there's some people that can open up and they're like, "Oh, that's a prism, like whatever, and it's worth blah blah blah." Like, I don't know anything about that. So, like, I've got some cards that we just got done getting. Like,
Yeah, the
this
ones we
isn't the
got from
cards
the
actually.
store.
Yeah, but like, even like this, like I have Jeff Lagman signed picture. Like I don't know how to even tell what it's worth. I don't think this one's worth. I looked up his career. He didn't really have like a. He had a decent career, but it was kind of like a high draft pick kind of letdown for the Jets, and then he went to the Jags and had a decent year.
Yeah, and then
Um,
we have the big one. I got a decent one in Jack Youngblood autograph picture.
yeah, he's.
And
Oh, what about the Patriots jersey you got?
uh, what was it? It's a John Hanna,
Hannah, yeah,
Patriots legend. I mean, a Hall of Famer. John Hanna. I don't know
yeah.
how much
So
it's
he got.
worth still, but
Yeah,
I
so
think it's worth something.
we've been going to this Palm Beach autograph store in the mall, and they've got these are mystery. Like this was $10. Was it 10 or 15?
Well, the Jaguar ones I think were 15, and
15.
then the Hall of Fame is
Yeah.
30.
So it's a guaranteed Jaguar player signed, and that I got Lagman. So he did the NFL Hall of Fame one, and then did the NFL Hall of Fame jersey. I think the Hall of Fame picture was $30. The jersey was 150, but it's a mystery, so you don't know who you're getting. It could be someone you've never heard of, which that's the part. I got one. I had never heard of Jeff Flagman. I looked him up. He was a defensive player for the Jaguars, drafted by the Jets. But still a really cool thing. And I did a Jaguar one, which was $100, but it was on sale because it was the last box, and they were trying to get more boxes in, so it was only 75. And I got Josh Lambo, his signed jersey. But this place is like really cool. It's got a signed big picture of George W. Bush when he threw the first pitch after 9/11. It's got some like Grammy stuff too, but it's basically all sports stuff. They have tons of signed jersey. They've got the mystery boxes, which is what we really like, because you buy this thing and then you walk through the mall like trying to run back to your car so you can go open it real quick.
Yeah, and I did have a Matt Ryan jersey that I really probably gonna get next time we go. Hopefully it's there. I believe it's still gonna be
It
there,
should
but
be. Yeah.
yeah,
If not, they'll get more.
yeah, for sure. I bet. Um,
Plus,
yeah,
you have your Matt Ryan jersey, right? So when we go to the Colts and Jaguars game this year, wear it and maybe you can get them to sign it. Wait in the
yes,
parking lot
sir.
for it.
Oh my, I don't even know where to like stand either. Like in the parking lot, I don't even know where to come out. So it's gonna be interesting to see, but it's gonna be fun. And these things, like trading cards in general, like they're fun to open. I mean, they're kind of get you can get addicted to them. And some of these like trading card boxes, they can go range from like 500 to even $1,000 just for like a 2 card pack, a box, or 1 card box that's guaranteed an autograph that's patch that's worth something really
Right.
good. And yeah, definitely. Going back to the list, the honey badger is still not on a team. Ian, what do you think? What team would benefit most by having the honey badger on their safety list?
Um, that's a tough one because I don't know who all has the cap space for him because he's gonna need a big deal.
The Colts still
Um,
definitely have a cap space for him if they need safety.
Yeah, I think the Colts would be a really good option, because they're a contender, and it would make sense to spend money on someone like Tyrann Mathieu. So I could see the Colts, and I could still see the Saints. I think he's from New Orleans. I think that would be a good matchup as well.
Yeah, I also think like some of these other teams that have cap space. I think the Jets still have a lot of cap space. They could potentially have him there replacing a Marcus May, because they did lose Marcus May to the Saints. And Marcus May was a really decent upcoming young safety that was playing really well.
That's what I don't understand about the Saints. Have made a lot of moves at safety. I think they signed 3 safeties this offseason.
Yeah, one of them retired, so definitely that's
Oh yeah,
probably going into
Malcolm,
it.
not Malcolm.
Malcolm Jenkins, yeah,
Oh yeah, Malcolm Jenkins.
he just
Um,
retired.
Speaking of defensive talent, Aaron Donald has been saying on podcasts, on TV shows, on Twitter that he is faster and stronger than he's ever been, and that he's getting faster and stronger each year. Could you imagine a faster and stronger Aaron Donald than what we just saw in the Super Bowl last year to sack Joe Burrow to win the game? Well, he didn't
No,
sack him, but he,
disrupted the play.
yeah.
Like I don't. Oh man, that's kind of a scary thought, even for linemen, because he can even double teams. He'll just run right through them.
Yeah.
Um, so him being in the best shape of his career still is kind of scary and really good for that Rams defense, who've just added another key piece in Allen Robinson, but also they added Bobby Wagner. So
Yeah.
they got more time to rush the sacker, especially in coverage now. Because Bobby Wagner's going to be there in coverage as well. He's going to be a lockdown coverage player for that linebacker spot, and even blitz
Yeah.
with Aaron Donald. So I mean, it's gonna be crazy.
Um, let's talk about the Bears for a second.
Okay.
Bears have lost a lot of players to free agency this offseason. They haven't done many pickups. They did just get a new head coach in Eberflus.
Yeah.
I can't.
Eberflus, whatever. Yeah.
So little concerning, for that players are leaving and you're not able to pick up many players in the offseason. However, Trevor Siemian, he just left the Saints and is signing with the Bears. And he did say he signed there because they have a clear vision of the future and that he wants to help Justin Fields. And I personally think this is a really good signing for the Bears. Trevor Siemian, he's a veteran. He can help Justin Fields. However, Justin Fields is not going to feel like his job is threatened like he was with Andy Dalton and Nick Foles on the roster. So I think Trevor Siemian was a way safer, better option for Justin Fields' confidence. He's going to be able to help him in the locker room. So I like the signing for the Bears.
Yeah, it's a really good signing. It's just more saying that Justin Fields is their quarterback for the future, and they're gonna do everything they can to help him develop. And yeah, and it's gonna be good to see Justin Fields develop, and hopefully, they give him time to develop. I mean, there's lots of quarterbacks that haven't developed, and they've given again like a 5 year chance. Example, Marcus Mariota, he's 5 years from his rookie year, and he had 5 years on the Titans, and he still didn't develop all the way. So you can't have that much time to develop, and otherwise they're just going to move on from you. It's a cutthroat league. But Justin Fields, I really hope and I really think he's going to develop into an amazing quarterback, and shown flashes already. Yeah, and staying on the NFC side, we're going back to NFC South. Gronk said he would only return to the Bucks if he didn't retire. So
Yeah.
I only thing I don't like I don't really don't care for Gronk in general. I mean Gronk's kind of like that party player. He doesn't really care about anything. Um but Gronk also it's kind of weird that he won't try another team. He just probably wants to be with Brady. I mean, given Brady is the best quarterback of all time. I mean, I understand that, but you wouldn't don't you want to try something new? I mean, you've been with the same guy for all your career. What if the other new or younger guy can get you in better spots, better situations, things like that?
Yeah, that is interesting. But like you said, he knows it works. I mean, he's had a legendary tight end career with Tom Brady throwing him the football. And I think he's to a point where if he goes to another team and doesn't do good, I think his reputation, his legacy is kind of affected, and he will forever be the guy that was made by Tom Brady. Similar to a Tom Brady and Bill Belichick thing, where Tom Brady was like, "I need to get out of here so I can prove." Well, granted, they weren't going to pay him, but I mean, I know part of Tom Brady's decision to leave the Bill Belichick led Patriots was I need to prove that I can do this by myself, and he did. So Gronk following Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl, it's still, everybody's speculating he wouldn't be that good if he had another quarterback, but you'll never know because he's not ever going to play with another quarterback.
Yeah. So you're exactly right. You're not gonna know if Gronk's good because of Brady or he's talented. Given Gronk is talented, I mean he's
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
fastest tight end in the world, but he can catch the ball and he finds those open zones, and so he has talent. But it's gonna be interesting.
And so we're going to end the show with us going over the NFL power rankings after this is as of March 22nd. So this is like 2 weeks old. However, not many moves have been made in the past 2 weeks other than some little signings and extensions and stuff. And this is not having Bobby Wagner to the Rams, I don't think. So just keep that in mind when we go over this. This is straight from NFL.com. The power rankings start with the Buffalo Bills at number one. Um,
It's very interesting that the Bills are number
yeah,
one because the Rams just won the Super Bowl and they have most of their players back and they added Allen Robinson. So it's really, really interesting and bold to put the Bills at the top of the list. It's very weird. Yeah, I honestly I like where the Bills are, but I think I'd put the Rams over the Bills right now at this
that's
current
fair.
moment.
That's fair. The Bills only improved though with Von Miller, and they didn't really lose anybody, so I can understand why they put him at number one. Because even though the Rams did pick up Allen Robinson, they did lose Robert Woods. I think Allen Robinson is a better number one receiver than Robert Woods, but I think Robert Woods offered a little bit more in terms of he was used on the jet sweep, he was used on crossing routes, like so. I think they're gonna miss Robert Woods, but I mean, regardless, it's still Allen Robinson and Cooper Cup, that's a very solid wide receiver group. And then what's the other guy's name? Brown?
Yeah, something like that.
Jefferson? What's his name?
Pharaoh. No, no, no.
Oh, they still have
Oh,
Tyler
Van
Higbee.
Jefferson. Van
Von
Jefferson.
Jefferson, yeah. Yeah, he's the so that's a really good trio. And then like I said, you still got Tyler Higbee, you still got your running back core and Cam Akers and Daryl Henderson. You still have Matt Stafford throwing the football. Um, And
Yeah.
really, the big piece they lost was Von Miller, but he joined halfway through the season. They were already on their run when they picked up Von Miller, but they picked up Bobby Wagner. So, I mean, I think that was all good picks for them.
Yeah, and yeah, the Rams are number two there, and I think one and two are kind of however you want to say it, but they got
Yeah.
decent ranking for one and two. I definitely put both of them one and two respectfully. And and then going down to number three, do you have anything to say about the Rams there or
No,
not
no,
really?
no,
'Cause
that's good. We can move on.
okay. No, number three, they have the Cincinnati Bengals.
I like it. They obviously made the Super Bowl, and the big knock on them was their offensive line, and they picked up three offensive linemen. So I think it was really perfect. I think number three is perfect for them. I would even go higher.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I do like the Bengals, but I don't know if they're that three spot. I think they have the pieces they need. They did sign the linemen. I don't think their defense is good. I don't think it's great, which is why I don't think it's that number three up here. I think there's better defenses and better teams that can hold your own against powerhouses.
That's why
Um,
I like the Bills at number one, though, because they have a very good defense and a very good offense. Same with the Rams, like you said, they could be number one. They have a very great defense and a very good offense. Um, but the Bengals, to me, they made the playoffs, they made the Super Bowl, and the only thing they needed to work on was the offensive line because the offensive line was terrible, and they did exactly that. So the fact that they were a top two team in the NFL last year and they only improved is why I think number three or possibly number two is like very fair.
mhm. Going down to number four, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That Tom Brady coming back really changed that. Really changed their ranking a lot because they went up 15 on NFL's power
Yeah.
ranking. So yeah, they still have that defense mostly, and they still have the receivers. So hey,
Yeah, they picked up Russell Gage. They re-signed Leonard Fournette. They re-signed Ryan Jensen, the center, the staple of their offensive line. And they were able to get a new contract for Chris Godwin.
yeah, so they did everything they needed to do to try to win to contend again for another Super Bowl. At number five, which they have the Niners. I actually like where they are. I might say, just because I like defenses a lot. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
I'd put them the over the Bengals, over the Bengals or the Bucks, because their defense is locked down, and if Trey Lance plays, then I think they can elevate their game like so much. I mean, they should have really started Trey Lance in the playoffs, but um, yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
it.
this is interesting too because my thing is they still don't know who's starting the quarterback next year. I think their defense is top in the league, one of the top in the leagues. But when you don't know who your quarterback is going into the fourth week of the NFL season, basically, because we're in the new league year, 4 weeks into the new league year, and you still don't know who your quarterback is. Um, that's kind of interesting. But they didn't lose anybody, and they didn't really pick anybody up. They kind of stayed the same.
Yeah.
Oh, they lost Mostert.
Yeah, they lost Mostert, but he's been injured the last 2 years, so he hasn't really
Yeah.
been
So,
doing
like I said, not a very
big.
crazy thing.
Yeah. At number six, we have the Green Bay Packers. They
I
did.
personally think they're too high.
I think, yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think they're a little bit too high just because they did lose some defensive pieces, and they lost their number one wide receiver, Devontae Adams, and
They lost to
now,
Darius Smith, Devontae Adams, Scaling,
yep,
Scaling.
Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Devontae Adams. Yeah. So definitely, Aaron Rodgers now has no one to throw to. Given Aaron Rodgers can make wide receiver trees look like ones, because he's just talented. But I think they're ranked too high. Um,
Number 7 is the Los Angeles Chargers. I like where they're at. I personally think they have one of the better rosters in the league, but they have to prove they can win.
yeah, I still need to see them prove they can win before they're ranked too high. And
They got Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. They still got Justin Herbert. They still got Mike Williams. They still got Keenan Allen. They still got Austin Eckler. They still got a decent offensive line. I say decent. Could be better. It's decent. It's the middle of the pack offensive line, but their defense just got insanely better this offseason. Justin Herbert, I look to see him improve even more next year, and they still have two number one wide receivers on their team in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen.
Yeah. So definitely Chargers are. I think they're in a good spot here because of their talent and their signings. Right under them is the Denver Broncos, who I believe should be over them at this point in time because I trust them a little more than I trust the Chargers. Even though that J.C. Jackson signing and the Khalil Mack signings are huge, it's kind of like a toss up for me between these two. So I think they're in really good spots though. Number 9, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, who dropped 7. And it's pretty obvious given reason they lost some defensive pieces. A lot. They lost a decent amount of defensive pieces actually, and they
Yeah.
lost Tyreek Hill. So I don't think their
I
defense is good
do.
enough.
Yeah, their defense is not good enough, and that's why I have them low. I think the offense is going to be super similar. I think Tyreek Hill is obviously devastating to the Chiefs, but I do like the Juju pickup. I do like the Scantling pickup. So I think their wide receiver score is still good. I think it's still something Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid can work with. Um, but obviously, Tyreek Hill was just so fast, and you had to play the field differently when Tyreek Hill was on the field, and you lose that losing Tyreek Hill. So I think the Chiefs are still going to be really good offensively, but I don't think they're going to score as many points. I don't think they're going to have as many big plays as they had with Tyreek Hill. But they were kind of transitioning away from the big play anyway, um, because if you notice, the Buccaneers figured out the Chiefs and they played them really good in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, which is why the Buccaneers were able to win. Granted, the offensive line fell apart, but there was no big plays because they played two safeties high. They were able to keep Tyreek Hill in front of them, and that's why the Chiefs ultimately lost the Super Bowl to the Buccaneers. Um, so, like I said, I don't think Tyreek Hill is gonna completely change the offense that much. I just think they're going to have a completely different look on offense next year with shorter throws, middle of the field throws, and Tyreek Hill's not going to be able to get the ball 5 yards out and run for 100 yards.
Yeah, definitely going to be changing a lot, and definitely if we go over some teams, not as we skip over some teams pretty quickly. Do remember our tier list is coming out. We rank all 32 NFL teams. That ranking list is coming out tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, Monday, April 11th, 4 p.m. Eastern. So definitely we go over each team, and rank them. So yeah, at number 10 we have the Tennessee Titans. And I really think this is an interesting way to put the interesting because to put them at 10 over the Raiders because they still have Ryan Tannehill, and Ryan Tannehill can lead them to the playoffs. I still believe that, but given what he did to lose them that game, which they should have won that playoff game against the Bengals.
Yeah.
I just don't see how you're not looking at different options at quarterback right now.
Yeah, so obviously Julio Jones getting released isn't the end of the world for the Titans. They didn't use him like he was hurt. So like him losing Julio is not like the end of the world for the Titans. And they did pick up Robert Woods, which I think in the long run is going to be better. I think Robert Woods is going to play better in Tennessee than Julio did, only because Julio was injured. And they still have Derrick Henry. So I mean, you got to keep them high.
Yeah, they're high. I think they're at 11 instead of 10. I think they're flip flop
I
right
do.
here.
Yeah, I agree. The Raiders got better on defense by adding Chandler Jones, and they got Devontae Adams to complement Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. So
Yeah, and they still have Max Crosby. They have Derek Carr, which I think is better than Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, and then the Raiders that are 11, and then we have the Dallas Cowboys at 12, which I think it's probably that last team of kind of like that top tier hierarchy of teams, like that top 11 is kind of like
yeah,
that for sure. They should be going to the playoffs because the Dallas Cowboys still have CeeDee Lamb. They still have that defense. They only really lost Randy Gregory, but I don't think that's going to be too big of a hit for them. They signed Dante Fowler. I don't think it's going to be too good for them, but they did sign him to replace Randy Gregory, and they did lose Rael Collins as well, so their offensive line isn't going to be as good.
yeah. Like you said, they have some work to do in the draft. But this is the draft to lose your players. To be honest, I mean, they can get a left tackle in the draft. They can replace Collins. They can replace an edge. They can replace Randy Gregory in the draft. I think the Amari Cooper is going to be kind of hard. And they lost another wide receiver. Was it? It wasn't Gallup. It was
Mm, but they lose.
Cedric Wilson. Cedric
Oh
Wilson.
yeah, I think they could need to replace him.
So they
Um,
definitely have some work at wide receiver to do as well, but they can get an edge and an offensive lineman in the draft, and they'll be just as good as they were last year.
yeah,
As long as they hit, they got to hit on their draft picks.
yeah. At number 13, is the New England Patriots. Very
I
interesting to
think,
put them over the
yeah,
Browns and Ravens,
yeah, I
honestly.
don't like them being that high. I think them losing J.C. Jackson, losing Shaq Mason, losing Kyle Van Noy. I they still don't have a number one wide receiver. Well, they did get Devontae Parker, so I do like that pickup. And they had a strong running game last year, so I don't know. I think that's a little high.
Yeah, no, that's high. I think with Deshaun Watson's playing, that Browns team is better,
They're
and
at
the
13.
Ravens are better.
I think they should be at 15 or 16.
I definitely agree with you. At number 14 now they have the Browns there, and this is all given on if Deshaun Watson plays.
Yeah.
Definitely, if Deshaun Watson doesn't play, this they're ranking on this power list by NFL. This is not our power rankings. This is the NFL's.com's power ranking. So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. But they'll be dropping down the list heavily if Deshaun Watson's not playing. At number 15 is the Ravens. I mean, I still think the Patriots should be below these two teams right here, and even the
Yeah.
Colts as well. Even I'd say that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair. I could see them staying above the Dolphins. Well, I don't know. I don't even put them above the Dolphins with all the moves they made, other than the quarterback situation. But we'll get there in a second.
Yeah, at 15, the Baltimore Ravens, they still have their whole defense still. They re-signed Calais Campbell, Lamar Jackson there. I doubt they're gonna have the same injury bug that they had last year. So they're just gonna be. I think they're gonna be healthy this year. They signed Marcus Williams to a deal as well, so that was really big for them.
Um, the Indianapolis Colts at 16. I honestly could put them a little higher. With Matt Ryan, I think that was an A plus trade for them. Getting rid of Carson Wentz and getting Matt Ryan, that was an A plus move. Granted, it is going to be the fifth different quarterback to start in the last 5 years. They had Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, now Matt Ryan. But they didn't lose anybody really, and they didn't really do too many. They did sign an edge rusher. I don't remember who they picked. Oh, Clowney.
Did they sign Clowney?
I thought so.
No, I think Clowney's
No,
still
they
crazy.
Njoku. Sorry,
Oh, okay,
not
Njoku. No,
Njoku.
not Njoku. A tight
The
end?
old Jaguar player. No, the old Jaguar
O'Shaughnessy?
edge rusher.
Oh no,
No,
edge
edge rusher.
rusher. Oh, Miles Jack or
Um,
something like that.
no, damn it, I'm not gonna be able to
Ah,
remember
damn.
who.
Oh, Ngakwe. Yeah,
Yeah, Ngakwe.
Unique Ngakwe. That's a good pickup. Going
Um,
down to 17, they have the Miami Dolphins. I like them there, but
yeah,
Ian said, given except the quarterback situation, they probably might be higher than Patriots. Um, so yeah, definitely Tua. They signed Teron Armstead, Tyreek Hill. We talked about this a little bit ago. Yeah,
they signed the two running backs, Chase Edmonds and Mostert, right?
yeah. Chase Edmonds and Mostert. That's really good running back pickups.
And they still have Gaskin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they have a really good running back room now. At number 18 is the Arizona Cardinals.
I like it.
I do like them
They
there.
yeah. They
Uh,
lost Chandler Jones. They lost Christian Kirk. They lost Chase Edmonds. They lost. I mean, they kept Zach Ertz. That was literally it.
yeah. They lost a couple defensive pieces, but that's about it. So they're kind of in like a right spot. It's gonna be interesting to see if they have that same big start to the season like last year.
Oh, they
Um,
did. They locked up James Conner too. Forgot
yeah.
about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's really good sign. James Conner has been good for them. So hopefully he plays the
They
same.
used him correctly. They put
Yeah.
him in on goal line situations. He's a big, tough back that can get you the yard or two for the touchdown.
Now at 19 they had the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, I s- I see that. I see why they're putting him there. Jalen Hurts is getting better, and they still kind of have a decent defense. And they just signed Hassan Reddick too, which is really good for them. But I don't know if their roster is as talented as the Vikings.
Yeah, no, I think the Vikings are, and they also Kirk Cousins, like I said, he's not as bad as people think he is. He's a very safe game manager that can lead your team to wins and possibly even the division if Green Bay is not as good as we. If Green Bay plays like I think they're going to play, the Vikings have a chance to win that division.
Yeah. And with new coaching staff, it's very, very possible too. Because I wasn't working with Mike Zimmer for a little bit. So they should have made the
They
playoffs the
still,
last 2 years and they didn't. So,
right, yeah.
yeah. 20, we have the
And they,
Vikings.
I was going to say the Vikings still have a very good running back room in Maddox and Dalvin Cook,
Yeah. And
plus Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson.
yeah, I think they're just roster is just talented, like I said, than more talented than the Eagles. They have every right piece they need to be able to make a playoff run. And it's kind of disappointing that they haven't even made the playoffs. At 21, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Um, yeah, I think they're the best out of that. They're the last team out of that mid-range teams. I think we did more. There's a couple more mid teams, but I think this is kind of like the edge right here. The Steelers are the last thing that like medium. They have a chance of making the playoffs, but they don't have all the pieces. And the Trubisky signing is really good. I think that's a really good, and I'm really excited to see him play again. Because he didn't
Yeah.
get that chance in the playoffs. He played amazing in the playoffs that game, and his receiver let him down, and that team let him down. At 22, it's the New Orleans Aints. Yeah, I don't. They're not good. They're not going to be good. It doesn't matter who they sign. So, um, yeah.
They did work on their cap situation, so in the coming years, I think they'll be better off.
Yeah, and they have a lot of team friendly deals as well, and they opened up $30 million cap space. At 23, right under them, it's the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Quarterback situation, big thing. Um, they they couldn't get Deshaun Watson, Sam Darnold's still there, Cam Newton's still there, so they still don't know what they're gonna do. And McCaffrey is kind of maybe on that trade block esque.
Yeah.
So who knows what they're gonna do? It's gonna be really weird because they have a defense that can play good as well. So if they figure out their offensive issues, this could be a playoff team. At 24 is the Seahawks, who are kind of in a rebuild. And I honestly think the Bears should be ranked higher than Seahawks right now just because of their quarterback situation. They still have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
You think Bull needs a haircut? Look at this. I'm the one.
Oh yeah, look at Ian. Ian needs a freaking haircut. He has more hair than freaking I don't need like a bear. Oh yeah,
We all need haircuts over here.
mine's pretty short, but it's getting longer though. Not gonna lie.
I
Mine
think
is getting.
the beard's a good touch, though.
Oh yeah, I need to get rid of the beard.
You need to get rid of it. You said.
Well, trim it, I guess.
Dude, I wish I could grow a beard. I would never shave that thing.
Dude, it gets pretty long. It kind of curls out here when it gets longer and longer. It curls. I don't like it. But the Seahawks, Ian, he's like, do you like them over the
I
Bears?
think they're a little high.
Okay.
And they got a couple good pieces from that Russell Wilson trade. They still have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I'll give them that. But they have a terrible offensive line. Their running game's not that great. I think Chris Carson's decent. Their defense holes. They've got a lot of holes. And I think even though Drew Lock is kind of a veteran in the league, I think it's still going to be tough for whoever goes in there to win games. They're in a tough division. So I don't know if I have them at 24, but we'll see who the other teams are. I might not put them below the Bears yet, so maybe they are at a good spot.
Yeah, true. Definitely. I talked about Ian before even we went live. He definitely needs to get a haircut. So definitely the right spot. Wrong person. But even though I need to see a barber for the trim.
My
Not gonna
girlfriend
lie.
rolls over in the morning and goes, "Get a haircut."
Oh my god, that's At 25 is the Bears. I see them around this area just because they don't
Yep.
have the greatest offensive line.
They lost a lot.
Yeah, they did.
Khalil Mack and Allen Robinson are huge. I mean, granted, Allen Robinson wasn't playing that well in Chicago, but still, like, you lost a big target for Justin Fields. So, and you lost your best defensive player in Khalil Mack. So I don't really like where they're at right now. I like the position they're at, but I don't like where the team's at right now.
Yeah, and Darnell Mooney and Daz Newsome are the only wideouts under contract for them. So
Yeah.
they need some work. 26 is the Commanders. I didn't say Redskins. Okay.
Well, now you did.
True. Oh my god. But yeah, Commanders right here. We don't know yet. We don't know. Quarterback situation isn't set, which is a really big thing. Their offensive line isn't the greatest. Their defense is decent though. That's all I'm gonna say. Their defense is decent. So, and they don't have the greatest wide receiver core either. They have Scary Terry was really good, and then I think they still have Marcus Goodwin, don't they? I believe so, but it's not the best, but it's not the worst. So I like them here. Number 27 is the Falcons. Obviously, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I might be a little biased here, but I think I'm putting them over the Seahawks and the Bears, just because. Okay, just because of just because the corner we signed, and just because we've been signing some people, and I think Marcus Mariota isn't going to be as bad as people think he is.
But to be fair, this was before the Cam Hayward signing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Maybe they are up one or two spots. The New York Jets at 28. They kind of made some good signings, in my opinion. They got two decent tight ends. I think it's weird that they spent that much money on tight ends. Maybe they have a new offensive game plan, but CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin, both decent safeties, or tight ends. Jordan Whitehead is a good safety. DJ Reed's a decent corner. So we're going to see how the Jets are this year. I think 28 is kind of fair, considering who's below them. I think the Jets are more talented. Well, I don't know. After the offseason, I think the Jaguars are more talented than the Jets.
Ooh.
I don't
know.
The offensive line pickup, like the amount of pickup, we picked up everywhere. Like we got a new D tackle, we got a new linebacker, we got a new corner, we got two new corners, we got two new wide receivers. Like I don't know. I think the Jets should be one down. I think the Jaguars should be one up.
Yeah, and under the Jets, the Detroit Lions, yeah, they're right where they need to be on this power ranking list. And Davis, he said, "I'm be laughing when Arnold, I don't even know how to say it, gets taken." Yeah, Ebiketie, yeah, and the second round and becomes a Pro Bowler. Imagine having 9 sacks and 18 tackle for losses one season and not getting first round buzz.
You know, that's interesting. And I think that goes to show kind of the depth in this year's draft for defensive and offensive linemen. So yeah, that's gonna be something to watch too, because there's even like talks of Aiden Hutchinson not going number 1 or Evan Neal not being the first tackle off the board. So, you know, it could be literally anything. And I think a lot of wide receivers are going to go way earlier than they would in any other draft because there's so many wide receiver needed teams. I think like my Jaguars have the 33rd overall pick, and I really want them to get a decent wide receiver at that pick. But I think the wide receivers are going to fly off the board around round 20. Which is going to make players like that fall even lower. Which in any other draft they'd be high, you know. So I don't know, we'll see.
This year's draft is very defensive, and just like some people are high on some people, are high on some players, and others. It's going to be interesting, the Aiden Hutchinson situation. It's gonna be interesting because a lot of people are thinking Kayvon Thibodeau might drop a little bit. It's just such a good defensive draft this year that Jaguars could even take 2 defensive players. Falcons could take wide receiver, and then defensive end or whatever. But yeah,
There's
on
even
team.
talks of there's even talks of Jordan Davis being a first round pick or first selection in the draft, and he's a D tackle. When you've got Aiden Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Evan Neal, Hamilton safety. So it's kind of I have no idea who the Jaguars are taking number one. I'm a Jaguars fan, and I think it's Aiden Hutchinson, but you like I wouldn't be surprised. Like, there's no wrong answer in my opinion. You grab Hamilton at safety, not a bad pick. If you get Evan Neal, not a bad pick. If you get Thibodeau or Hayden Hutchinson, both of them are not bad picks. Um, yeah, and like you said, Trayvon Walker, his combine was really good. That's the thing with Jordan Davis. His combine was really good. And that's what, like, I don't understand. I do understand the importance of the combine, but it's like I would much rather see your speed, your moves, your catches, your blocking technique against game film. Like the combine to me is kind of pointless. I don't care if you can run a 4.4 in shorts and a t-shirt. I care if you can run and tackle Derrick Henry with pads on. So that's what I don't really. I understand the combine is to evaluate the talent, but it's weird to me that people hold these combine stats like so high. But when you think about it, that's what DK Metcalf had an insane combine. Like they were like, how is this guy like almost 240 pounds running a 4.3? Like it was insane. So I do kind of understand the combine, but still, it's like people like Cordell Patterson had really good combines, but he's not like he was almost useless in Chicago, and
Yeah,
now
he
he's with the
really didn't.
Falcons.
Yeah,
Really
he
good.
really didn't start getting no like getting his using him right till Arthur Smith used him in
Yeah,
Atlanta.
he was always a good returner.
Yeah, definitely a really good returner as well. Trayvon Walker is really high. A lot of teams are actually in a lot of mock drafts. I see him getting drafted pretty high.
Top 10, top
Um,
10. I see him
and
in
I
every mock draft top 10.
exactly, and I definitely agree with you. Combine shouldn't be the whole focus of looking at whether your team should draft someone. A lot of game film should be watched as well and seeing who they tackle or how they get around and their technique and things like that. Um, I really think that these players are. There's gonna be so many people that say one thing, say the other thing, but hopefully we people get what they want.
Yeah. The Lions are at 29. Power ranked at 29. We did the Jets, right? Yeah, we did the
Yeah,
Jets. The Detroit Lions are at number 29. They still have Jared Goff. They had the veteran and Jared Goff at quarterback. They did pick up DJ Chark. As long as he doesn't get injured, that's going to be a good pickup for them. I think he's got to stay healthy though, and it's a 1 year prove-it deal, so it was a really good signing for them. And they still have Amon St. Brown, and they still have T.J. Hawkinson, which is a top tight end in the league, and DeAndre Swift had a kind of a letdown year last year compared to I thought he was going to be like really good because they didn't have many. Your mic's making a weird noise.
Mike.
It's not doing it anymore. DeAndre Swift, I thought was going to be like electric, and he wasn't bad, but I thought he was going to be like extremely good last year, like top
Yeah,
5.
yeah. Well, they still have all the pieces, so their offense is loaded for Jared Goff to do what he can, but their
They get the
defense
number
is.
2 pick too,
Oh yeah, so they could draft a really good. They could draft
or
Aiden
number 3.
Hutchinson. Oh yeah, they could draft Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau if they wanted, which is really likely picks as well, for them, because their defense. I think they're gonna focus on defense. I'd be surprised if they draft a quarterback. Not gonna lie, I think they stick with Jared Goff for a year or two, even.
Okay, so Detroit has the number 2 pick. Houston has the number 3.
Yeah, so if the Jaguars don't get Hutchinson, I think the Lions are
Yeah.
just gonna take him right away. The Giants at 30. Yeah, their roster is kind of depleted right now. They don't have too many defensive pieces. They don't have too many offensive pieces, except for Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard, and they're not 100% comfortable with their quarterback.
And Saquon's also always hurt, so that's another one.
It's gonna be sad to see if Saquon keeps getting hurt and that's his career. I mean, he was like his first year, like he was projected to be
Yeah.
probably the best running back in the NFL. It's yeah. Um, at 31, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They did make really good signings with Fatuski, Olokun, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Darius Williams, Brandon Scherf. Even they fixed up that O line a little bit and they added defensive players. So I honestly think they're better than the Lions, and the Giants. I think they're better than the Lions. And
That's why I
Giants.
was saying I think they're a little low. But I mean, they have to win games before anybody's going to take them seriously. I think they got a huge upgrade at head coach, huge upgrade at wide receiver, huge upgrade at offensive line. But they did lose Brandon Linder and Andrew Norwell. They replaced Andrew Norwell in a sense with Brandon Scherf, but Brandon Scherf's a right guard. Andrew Norwell's a left guard. So they have a hole right now at left guard and center, which they can address in the draft. So I'm not like too worried about that. But they got an upgrade at D tackle. We're assuming going to get an upgrade at edge. Have Aiden Hutchinson or Thibodeau with Josh Allen. Going to be a really good tandem. They got an upgrade at corner. So I like all their picks.
Yeah, and they got some receivers to help out a little bit for Trevor Lawrence. And now the last team, everyone probably knows what team this is. It's the Houston Texans, who need almost every possible thing they could use in a draft. Yeah. So they're gonna take the best available player in the draft every time. I definitely think the Houston Texans are in the right spot here because they need a lot of work. They're in like the most complete rebuild I've seen in a team for a while. Like they don't even already have pieces. They have, I think, one or two pieces, and the whole team needs
they
to
have
be
Brandon
reworked.
Cooks. That's literally it. Brandon Cooks and maybe their head coach.
Yeah,
if he works out.
That was the NFL.com's their 32 team power ranking. Definitely. We have our NFL tier list, our power rankings that technically coming out tomorrow. So definitely you guys see where we rank everybody on tiers on the tier list. Ian, anything else?
No, I'm just scrolling real quick to make sure nothing has happened on Twitter as of today.
Yeah. These power rankings change a lot. And it's gonna be interesting to see after the draft how these teams get better. Because the draft they're gonna be adding a lot of people, and based on how these rookies do, they could either make a team or break a team. One or the other if you pick the wrong pick. There's a lot of bust, there's a lot of talent in this draft, especially defensively, which I'm really excited for because I think the Falcons should sign. If Thibodeau falls to us, we definitely need Thibodeau. I mean, I would love Thibodeau, even though he doesn't fit in our scheme. I still would love him because we need a pass rusher badly, very, very badly.
Yeah, I do not see anything new, so I think we are all set. We want to thank you guys for watching the PI podcast episode number 11. Crazy that we've already done 11 episodes, and our first couple episodes were really long, so we probably put like 20 hours worth of podcasts together.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Not including all the videos we made and stuff.
Yeah, so if you guys
got some new stuff. Oh, my bad. I was going to say, we got some new stuff working on too. We've been doing Omegle calls. So definitely follow the TikTok because we're going to be putting those Omegle calls on TikTok. We'll probably put them on YouTube too. Maybe not each individual on YouTube. Maybe we'll combine a couple into one episode or something.
Let's just say kids on Omegle or something else.
Yeah, they're weird. Some of them are. We got some weird ones, man. There's some good ones in there. But anyway, we'll be posting those to YouTube and TikTok. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. Be sure to follow us on TikTok. I'm dropping my socials. I'm dropping the socials in the chat. So if you're in the chat, hit the link tree up. We got merch. We've got a donate link. We've got hit the subscribe button. We got a subscriber button. We got a like button that you can click to help out the podcast. We got a comment button you can click and type something in. Yeah,
Merch.
and merch. We got merch. Definitely by the merch. Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. We are starting to do the the Spaces on Twitter. So definitely check that out whenever, if you can't make it to YouTube for whatever reason. We also are broadcasting it live on Twitter for now. And then after the episode's done, we post it to Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching the podcast. Definitely, if you missed anything, definitely it's going to be uploaded on YouTube in a little bit after it's processing. And then if you don't have time to watch the video, definitely it's on Spotify, like Ian said, and Anchor and everything like that. So you can put in your earbuds, listen on the way to work or on the way to somewhere, wherever you're driving to. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the podcast, and we might have a really big podcast coming up on Wednesday, so just be sure to look out for that at 9 p.m. Eastern. May have a really big special guest, like we said earlier. We're working on getting Jimmy Smith, the former Jaguar legend wide receiver, on our podcast. So definitely, very real possibility that will happen. So look out for that. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for watching the PI Podcast. Make sure you subscribe and tune in next time so you don't miss the latest news in the NFL world. You can also follow us on TikTok at PI Podcast and on Twitter at PI Podcasters. Until next time.